ahead and hit the live. And let's get going with this. Hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to Play It Paint and Live. Hope you guys are having a good Sunday evening. And we're going to try streaming despite the fact that both of my kids are still awake right now. So we're trying that. And we're going to be painting, tonight we're going to be painting Warcaster from Privateer Press. You can see my desk is a little bit of a mess right now, but that's okay. You can see some of the weapons options below as we've done some magnetizing on these miniatures, and we are gonna just be painting tonight, and it's one batch because all the models basically share the exact same color scheme, and yeah, and we'll get into that. But if you would like to discuss anything miniature gaming related, that's why we're here. So here's one of the troopers for the Iron Star Alliance. That's this Privateer Press sci-fi. Privateer Press. Why do I keep saying that? Why do I keep saying that? I'll tell you why I keep saying that. I keep saying it because, I mean, it's just, hey, what's up, Sean? Okay, because I'm gonna paint a little Master Chief here, and this whole faction looks like Master Chief, right? It all kind of looks like science fiction, right? But is it, question is, the question is this: do I care? Do I care? Right? I mean, is it a cool model? I guess. How are things? Things are good, Sean. We're, a little frustrated about tomorrow. I was hoping maybe we could, I mean, I'll leave it up to you. If you could do, it would have to be some kind of afternoon or something. If you would like to do that, I'm down. If not, we try to pick, we just try to figure out another day. But yeah, entirely up to you, sir. I'm going to paint this in and talk about the Iron Star Alliance and kind of my take on painting these thus far, right? So I've been painting these thus far, and it's going. You can plan okay. Well, Wednesday, the earliest I could do Wednesday. Earliest would be 1 p.m. and I don't know if that's good for you or not. So let me know if that is. Then we could shoot for that. But yeah, my schedule has been kind of bad lately. But yeah, let's paint some of this in. Okay. Here's the jack. And yeah, right? You're gonna say, oh, the jack looks pretty cool, right? The jack it's a jack. Yeah. You can shoot for one. Okay. Okay. Then I'll try to make that happen. Then I have a meeting that runs until 12, and I'm hoping it runs ahead of schedule, but you never know with these things. Sometimes they fall behind. So But yeah, let's plan for that. Let's plan for 1 p.m. Wednesday. Okay, right? This is a cool model. Not gonna lie, it's a cool model, right? You put this all together. Once I clean up the base a little bit, and you can see what I'm talking about. You'll go, yeah, that's a cool model. And as you look at this stuff for Warcaster, you go, yeah, these are cool. But you're probably, if you know me, you probably know what my complaint is going to be for something like this, right? You might say, oh, it just looks too much like Space Marines, right? Or it looks too much like War Machine. Just the old, you might as well just be painting War Machine. And I would say if you told me that, if you think that's my answer, then I'd say you're pretty close. You're pretty close to what I'm getting at. But let's paint some more. There's the other guy, right? I wanted to get into the game, but I don't. No, it kind of fell off. Yeah. Okay. Here's my issue with these sculpts. Okay. It's not that they're poorly executed, because they're not, right? They're cool. They look like Master Chief, blah blah blah. You can paint them in cool colors and have a cool lighting effect on their plasma gun or their plasma rifle and their little, antenna thing here on their back. Oh, I sound so much better. Oh, I'm not. I still have a little bit, but yeah, I'm definitely much better. How's it going, Michael? Here's my problem with these. Here's the third one, right? Okay, yeah, Master Chief. There's another Master Chief. My problem with these are, and this is my criticism of Privateer Press in general, is that this is all very safe. You're driving back home from the game store? Should be okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, this is all very, very safe. You know what I mean? Safe. Oh, space guy with space gun. Generic, Law and Order, but they're kind of tyrannical faction, right? Mindless, faceless, nicely designed armor, right? It's like that's where I'm going with this. It's so safe. It is so safe. It's boring. It's boring. I'll just call it. Like, this is boring to me. If you are just getting into miniature painting and that kind of stuff, you're going to go, yeah, that's pretty cool. My son saw these. And he's like, yeah, these look cool, Dad. These are cool. And I'm like, yeah, I guess so. I mean, if you, like I said, if you're new to the miniature gaming hobby, you would go, yeah, these look cool. But I mean, is this going to be memorable? Right? Are you going to be like, oh, that's the iconic looking Master Chief guy that could be in any sci-fi game, right? Oh, it's Privateer Press and that's their, yeah, War Machine. But it's so boring. It's so safe. That's my issue. These models are so. Here's the Warcaster guy, which I painted the bug eyes on because he's cool. I wanted him to be a little less safe, right, and have some bug eyes, because you gotta do that. But otherwise, dude, like, what are we really doing here? And I will say this about Warcaster, because I was like, okay, what I'm painting these, and I'm getting an idea what these look like, and how they paint up, and yeah, it's all that really, really familiar experience again, painting Privateer Press minis, right? Where there's lots of bordering, there's just lots of chunks, Lots of, oh, this borders with that and this borders with that, right? It's like painting GW Chaos Space Marines every time because you're just painting borders. There's nothing. There's nothing other than the little bit of touches of lighting on this miniature. You just hit the line, hit that border. That's all you're doing, right? And with my light over dark color scheme, I'm just painting lots and lots of reps over this, right? To make it all look good. Okay? It's but it's just so safe. It's just so safe. It's not, it's boring me to tears. You know what I mean? It's just so safe. Let's do his little safe bayonet on his safe plasma rifle because he's the safe Master Chief. I go ahead and, I mean, you can tell me that, like, oh, hey, but you're totally ignoring these facts, right? You could tell me that. You could tell me that about Warcaster and about these facts, but no, dude. Let's see. I'm just gonna add a little bit of orange right there, right, just to remind me. Hey, these are models, right? These look like if you pull up Dark Pinions for Relic Knights, the Relic Knight 2-player starter kit, the 2.0 starter kit. These look like a worse version of Dark Pinions. A worse version. I don't know. Is it? What? I don't know, guys. I mean, yeah, I will give you that it does look kind of cool. And when you put your army down, it's going to look kind of cool. But again, this is just another war game. That's all this is. It's just another... It's in an endless supply of war games. More of the same war game. But I did hear some cool stuff about Warcaster that, there's a respawn mechanic and you get to keep bringing stuff back in, and it's more about, balancing your activations and your arc and all that other stuff, and achieving your scenario specific objectives. Like, I get that, but I mean, it's still, as cool as this is, it's still just the robot. The robot that we all know. Oh, it's the robot again. There's the robot. And I just don't know how I really feel about it. You know what I'm saying? Am I going to continue to paint this? Yes. Like I said, is it going to be cool and kind of satisfying when it's all done? Yeah, probably. Probably. But it's just so safe. Right? So we're just gonna be painting extra bits white. We're just gonna do a little white highlighting and a little white edging, and that's off white. And whatever you guys want to discuss, we can discuss tonight. And I'm just gonna keep painting these, and I am gonna try out Warcaster. I'm gonna try it out, right? I mean, you guys have heard me complain about certain projects on this feed, but I almost never complain about my own projects because that's your stuff. I wanted to get in and paint. I want to paint your own. You want to paint your own stuff, right? But this is one of those cases where it's like, yeah, I do, but it's still, I don't know. I don't know. It's still just Warcaster. No one picked I know, I was talking about that today at the shop. I was looking at the Bushido factions and going, how come nobody picked pirates? Pirates are awesome looking. Actually, pretty much all the factions look super cool. Hey, what's up, Nelson? Yeah, yeah. Pretty much all the factions look really cool in Bushido. Um, you know, obviously, I was obviously gonna go for the fan dancing ladies and the sumo wrestling gangster guys, because you guys know that like those are two of my favorite things. So we would totally do that. But yeah, they might end up being a faction I get into after. They might be my second faction, right after Silver Moon. But I don't know. Could also, I mean, I pretty much like all the factions. I even like the generic prefecture. I think that's cool. I think that is a cool faction as well. Even though they're just, you know, they're saying, oh, they're too vanilla. They're just boring samurai guys. And I was like, and I pointed out, I'm like, if any of your, if any of your mainstream games ever had a samurai faction, people would lose their minds about how cool that is. That's how cool Bushido is. Is our vanilla faction is would it in any other game would be the coolest faction in that game, right? If you dropped samurai into, I don't know, Age of Sigmar or something like that. If you just drop like, oh, here's samurai faction. Not that GW would never do that because they can't sue you, right? They don't have specific rights to samurai. They would have to call them samurai or something stupid, right? And try to GW that. But if you did that, if there was a samurai faction in Age of Sigmar with samurai warriors in it, you'd be like, man, this is the coolest thing ever to happen in Age of Sigmar, right? In Bushido, it's just boring because it's like, oh, it's just a samurai. You know what I mean? So just pointing out, that's how cool Bushido is that what we would consider mundane and boring would be like earth-shattering amazing in any of these mainstream games. The regular boys. But yeah, but I mean, I like the idea of just like Samurai Showdown, right? I am totally cool with that. Samurai Showdown would be pretty cool. Should I play with? Should we look at like how some of these weapon options are starting to look on this thing, right? So he's got like a shoulder mount there, and then they magnetize. Actually, I kind of want to seal. I should probably seal first, and then we can play with that a little bit. But I need to continue to paint. So I don't think, but yeah, basically, right? Basically, it would stick right there, right? That's gonna go right there, and then you have the big shield thing that goes right there. I actually try to keep it away because there are magnets there. They'll just stick onto that. Um, and then painting these, like, right? They're cool. Don't get me wrong. They look cool, but it's kind of like painting furniture, right? Because it's just so you just stay in the lines and you pick your color scheme and you just follow, right? You just follow it in. There's nothing. It's not that cool to blend. You don't have that many areas to really do like crazy cool blends or anything like that. Whoa! Killed that dude. This is the Paladin. Privateer Press always does these little chicken ankles. I don't know why everything in Privateer Press has super, super tiny waists and tiny ankles. Everything. They just think that's so cool looking, and it just makes the model super top heavy and ready to snap off at the feet. One thing I'll point out here too is this one actually does have a it actually does have a nice tapered blade like that. Whereas like a lot of Privateer Press, you have these stupid squared off blades, which I think look so stupid. They look really bad, especially when they do it on pole arms. It looks really bad. And that is pole axe. But yeah, I like that. But I mean, am I gonna remember this guy 2 years from now? Am I gonna remember the Iron Star Alliance? Oh hey, what's up, Michael? Um, I don't know. I doubt it. I doubt it. Oh yeah, those were the guys with the guns, and they look like Master Chief. I I doubt it, guys. There's just nothing. Again, it looks cool, but it's so safe. It just doesn't. I don't know. Right? But say what you want. I'm not. I'm sure this is probably making like a Warcaster fan really upset or whatever, but you gotta admit, yeah, they did a good job executing these designs, but the designs are just very unmemorable. They're just pretty boring. A new hand magnet system for minis, that's cool. I, as someone who hates war gear and I hate war gear. Uh, because I have another weird kind of backwards theory on that too. As someone who kind of hates war gear, I I don't really. It's not that big a deal. Like, yeah, I am gonna. I did magnetize this jack and put all the options on it, but it's just not that big a deal to me, right? I honestly, this is my whole approach to miniature gaming. There, like I was saying, miniature gaming, I kind of value by decisions, right? Your ability to play a miniatures game is based should be based mostly on the decisions that you can make. On the decisions you can make on the board, off the board, how you set up, what to do during your turn, all of that sort of stuff kind of boils into what I consider the quality of a miniature game. Okay? And for a miniature game, I think the more impact your decisions have on the board versus the impact your decisions have just building a list and selecting war gear, I think the better that game is. Okay? Right? What I mean by that is this. I would rather be able to you know win a game based more on the decisions I made once we're on the board than selecting the right war gear, picking the right options for my squad, right? All that customization. I think honestly, most of the time, it doesn't serve a good purpose in game, and if it does, it's not a good game. Yeah, I said it. If you built a list and your list is beating other people and they might be making better decisions on the board other than you picked the best, the quote unquote best list, then I don't consider that to be a good game, right? If you're like, oh, all I have to do is max out on these, and those are better point for point than your things, and I just walk over your guys. And I don't have to think. I can deploy them out in the open. I can walk out in the open. I can just attack with impunity. I can remove your models. I don't think that's a good game. But a lot of wargamers approach their games that way. They look at, oh, this is the most efficient model for the points. Therefore, I'm going to maximize the most efficient parts of my list and minimize the least efficient parts of my list, and therefore I will have a massive advantage. I can make more mistakes on the board, and I don't have to pay for them because statistically my army is better. That's a poor game. That's a poorly designed game. Okay, if winning the game means memorizing certain war gear and certain options and understanding that this list is better than that, it's not a game I want to play. I just don't think it's just not interesting to me, right? I want the outcome of a game should be based on how smooth and quickly you can make decisions on the board, how decisive you can be, how precisely you move and position. Those are all good wargamer skills. Okay? So when you tell me, oh, this game's great because you have 34 options on your warjack, I'm like, that's stupid. That's a waste of time. Okay? And frankly, if that was functioning the way it's supposed to function, then all that really does is it makes people feel comfortable. Okay? I know that might sound offensive, but excessive options in a war game does nothing but make the person doing this feel more comfortable. Okay? Because at the end of the day, if it has that much impact on the game, then it's not a good game. Okay, it's like, oh well, I picked all star shooters and you picked all, it was dumb. Like, and I'm saying that because I remember certain editions of Warhammer 40K where that was the case, where you literally you won the game before any dice were rolled, before anything was played. Now in real life, that is how war works, and I get that. In real life, that is how war works. That you pick the right type of engagement, you have the best troops, you give them the best equipment. I get that. But in a contest war game, right, where your skills, a skilled war gamer should have the ability to make reactions and decisions very quickly. Like I said, they should be able to play precisely. They should have a good understanding of core rules. And yes, they should be able to put together a competent force. Okay? But the problem is that most of the games lean way too heavily on that last aspect. And a lot of players, when things are, if they get outplayed by somebody, then they go back to their list and go, I need to go fix my list. It's got to be my list. Like, no, you're making bad decisions. That's why. Like, your list was fine. You were making bad decisions. And that's a tough pill for any wargamer to swallow. Any wargamer, right? If I lose to somebody, that's my first instinct too. It's like, oh man, I didn't like the fact that he could do this and this, and therefore I need to go change something on my list. Right? We go immediately to that. I need to go buy this immediately. And the companies know that. And a lot of gaming companies will reward that type of thinking. Again, like Games Workshop, where they just keep releasing, where they go in the endless codex cycle and they ramp up the power with each new codex, right? If you do not understand that is indeed intentional, that is an intentional GW design, and why they don't release all their stuff at once. If you don't understand that by now, then then yeah, we gotta. Then I mean, I don't know. You either better go back and have a look, like take a sober look at your game, or you might just be hopeless. It might just be you're just never going to understand that concept, right? Even the most ardent GW fans know that that's how they push product. That's an essential part of their design, is that they need to they need to cycle codexes up and not release everything simultaneously, so that you are inclined, if you're going to be a competitive player, you are inclined to continue to buy the good stuff. All right, here's what I'm going to do, because this is kind of driving me crazy. I am going to stop for a second, and I'm going to seal up all of these options. X-Wing today executed my ships flying with minimum bumping, but I got punished for shitting rolls. Yeah. That's the other thing, too. And, when you have shit rolls and that costs you the game, there are going to be, that's going to happen. But I also, and I'm probably the most guilty of this more than anybody I know. But I would also kind of admonish you to kind of look back and go, okay, losing those rolls were critical, right? Those were kind of game ending. But what were some other things I could have done to have presented myself with a better situation than to lose by, these 2 or 3 rolls in a game? That's an exercise that I try to do. Like if I lose a game, right? If I lose a game, I try to figure out, okay, is there something I could have done better? Like the last, not this past Wrath of Kings game, but the previous one when I was playing Hadros against Bing, I lost that game by 2 points. And I immediately went to, well, gee, if I had passed my re-rollable willpower save, or my willpower check, we would have tied the game. Okay, yeah, that's probably 100% true. But what are some other things I could have focused on to not be in that position in the first place, right? What could I have done how could I have played differently to have put myself in a better position, right? I don't know. Nelson, it's weird. The YouTube comment did not show your other X-Wing comment, but your point on the game having the ability to decide anything on the spot is much better than just packing better stuff. That's been my philosophy for games for quite a while, right? And again, this comes from me playing 3rd edition 40K and just being like, well, this edition had this list that mathematically could not really lose. I actually had that prior to codexes, and I know I've brought this up in the past, but prior to codexes, a Culta speed list would have a very difficult time losing a game mathematically if you just built it around Choppa boys and trucks. Mathematically, and I proved that by winning every tournament I played them in. There's just too much math supporting that particular list, and that's why I won most of my miniature gaming tournaments during 3rd edition 40K, and why I also hate 3rd edition 40K. Right? Kind of weird. I'm just gonna spray a little gloss, just a little bit, give myself a little protective shield here. But we are gonna continue to paint, so don't worry. Sometimes you do this, especially in a situation like this where I actually have to physically touch pieces to paint them, right? In the case of all the weapons options. But yeah, that's why, for example, that's one of the reasons why I really like Relic Knights is you could you could walk into a game of Relic Knights with a crap list, but still make good decisions and win that game, right? And there are things in that game that are just that do feel like they're a bit stronger than the other things, right? But even in that case, yeah, the other guy may have a bit of an advantage in his list or whatever, but you have the ability or the potential to win the game just taking generic moves, right? You take some, we talk about how these are safe space PP Marine guy sculpts. Is there a time when there could have been unsafe sculpts? What did they look like? Yeah, there are plenty of. Yes, I mean, there are still games that have quote unquote unsafe sculpts. There's plenty of games out there that have that. Um, but the safe sculpts are really the sci-fi category space marine looking thing and Tolkien-esque races like elves, dwarves, orcs, that sort of thing. Those are all very safe. And then most recently, anthropomorphized animals. Those are all in the category of safe, right? What are unsafe? If you look at the original Games Workshop um, Slanesh demons, those were that was not safe, right? They had, they would have cows, like giant minotaur-looking things with 2 or 3 breasts. They had, those Slanesh demon steeds on 2 feet with the long tongues. They had Slan aliens. They had Kroot. Kroot was not safe. Um, you know, they had stuff like that. If you look at the Wrath of Kings armies, none of that stuff is really safe. It's damn cool. Well, maybe werewolves and vampires, you could argue, okay, werewolf vampire army is kind of safe. But when you start getting into like pigmen and jellyfish and hermit crabs and that kind of stuff, um, that's very unsafe. That's very right. That's very genre breaking, challenges. The aesthetic. I would even say, uh, even the fact that there is a sorry, a Bushido game. Here's the coughing. Um, there are unsafe sculpts in that line as well, right? Where you have like uh, Yakuza style gangbangers. You have like street ruffians. You have fan dancers. Like you have some stuff that right that your normal miniature gamer might look at and go, oh, that's not what I think of when I think of a typical wargaming piece, right? They think of this when you go sci-fi wargaming, right? Master Chief with plasma gun is going to be the first thing that comes to mind, right? That's just the reality. Um, but that is, yeah, it that is, one of the things that I wish. And again, this is a pretty mild complaint, right? Because this stuff looks cool, but like I said, it's just not very memorable. I don't I don't feel any particular attachment. How about that? When I paint, hey, what's up, man? Right? When I paint something like this, I'm like, cool. He's got a cool bug head, and he's a wizard guy, and he has this cool lighting, whatever. Like, but I don't have any particular attachment to that. That's just like, that's just generic sci-fi guy, number X number 2000, whatever, right? These are still on my desk, right? But when I paint something like this, I'm like, now that's a character, right? She's something. She's an interesting um she's an interesting specialist. Like she has a story. Like what is her? She's very unique. She's got like the jellyfish body. and she's got these really cool bright tentacles. Like, there's something. Even this guy, you're like, he's like a Triton. Okay, he kind of looks like Triton, and that's kind of cool. I have to finish this guy, obviously. But what I'm saying is, like, there's character there. There's a story that I'm interested in when I see stuff like that, and when I paint it, I'll develop some level of attachment to it. Whereas if I'm just painting a bunch of nameless, faceless guys in cool armor, like, or sometimes it's guys with all the same expression, right? Even if it's well executed, even if it's a good sculpt, I'm not going to feel very attached to it. Sometimes it's a bad sculpt, and I'm more attached to that. Here's something, right? Right? This is not a safe sculpt. Nobody's like, I can't wait to see a miniature gnome guy on a chicken walker, right? No, nobody's. That's not something that people are like, oh wow, that's so impressive. They're gonna say, wow, that's so interesting. Okay, not safe, but characterful, right? You want to know what this story is. What is this guy? Why is this tiny gnome guy got this steam-powered pair of chicken legs? Right? What does that actually do? That's what I mean. This is not a safe sculpt. It is a characterful sculpt. It is and this is iconic. You can look at that and go, that's definitely from this very distinctive game. In this case, it would be Wrath of Kings. This is the Technis faction. And Wrath of Kings has that character in spades, right? Shark guys, like I was saying, anthropomorphized humans are pretty safe, right? They're like, oh, it's a dog guy, cat guy, shark guy, right? Those are all pretty safe. So as much as I like Guhh here, and I do, I think he's awesome. He's very fun. I really like him, but he is closer to the safe side of things. Now, one thing that is different about him though is that he still has the full shark body. So we're gonna do water effects and all that good stuff below him. But that's cool. What else isn't safe? Here, this will get this stream demonetized. But yeah, anatomically unsafe miniatures can also be unsafe, right? I'm not saying that that's always a great choice. Sometimes it's a little ridiculous. But yeah, that's an unsafe sculpt. I don't know why he's on my desk. This guy's just this cool, like, Squidward guy. Squidward pirate guy. Why is he on my desk? Like, what are you doing here? I don't know. But he's cool. But yeah, that's what I meant. Right? That's what I meant by, yeah, this is safe. This guy, and you can see how I kind of painted him too. When I was painting this guy, I was thinking of Briareos from Appleseed, and that's kind of cool. But again, yeah, overall still kind of safe. All right, I'm gonna flip these. We're gonna seal the other side of these magnetized weapon options. And I still need to go back and pick up the other weapons options. But before I actually spend any real money on Warcaster, I have to try it. I was watching some Warcaster. What's your favorite arcade mini? Nice. I was watching some battle reports on Warcaster, and I don't really know how to feel about it. It seems okay. The respawn mechanic is probably something that I'll really enjoy. But if it was just based on faction, I would have checked out of that game. I would not be. Okay, full disclosure, if Bing hadn't offered this starter set for less than 50% off. I would not be painting Warcaster right now. Right? It's just not. And I think I said this to Chris and Bing while we are LVO. I'm like, as they're talking about Warcaster and how they like it and that kind of thing, and I was like, well, I'm not interested because I haven't seen anything that I really like in Warcaster. So, and that still stands, right? I saw the Marcher starter box, and I was like, okay, that's okay. Again, so safe, right? That's just privateer, though, I guess. Pri- the big risks that privateer does is, again, anatomically, the really brittle ankles, very skinny waists, so that their models are like imbalanced and top heavy, and then the worst thing they do are those um, squared off blades. It's just terrible. It's just not a good call. So yeah. Anyway, I guess I could paint the black rings on. I'm just waiting for this stuff to dry a bit. So yeah, I don't know. Still gonna try it, right? That's the. It'll be cool to put these on the boards and run them around. The other thing that was I found really kind of annoying was that the skirmish version of Warcaster is played on a 30 by 30, which is just such an odd size. Um, it also happens to be the same size as Heldorado. So if I can go find some of my old Heldorado mats that are 30 by 30, we could use those. They're like the rubber Zuzzy mats that I cut. I had to cut them to 30 by 30, and I may have a couple of those around here somewhere. But that's just sort of odd. I guess what you would normally do is just play on a 3 by 3 and just take 6 inches off. You would just take 3 inches off every edge, and you should be good to go. It's just weird. So yeah, I don't know. Man. Yeah, and you just paint lots of white on these. I think let's paint in the black because it always makes the models look cool, right? The best part of painting miniatures with lipped bases is you paint that black in, and it will always make the model look better no matter what, right? And yeah, I'm cheating a little bit because these models aren't 100% done being painted, but they're close. They're close enough. I mean, I could put them on the board tomorrow and be um, reasonably satisfied with how they look. So there's that. Where's the black? What did I do with it? But yeah, what we're really gonna be waiting for though. Oh yeah, let's do that. We'll paint the black on these, and I'll paint a little bit more of the Wrath of King stuff for a little bit. I'm not gonna stay on terribly late tonight because work tomorrow. Which I don't know. I had a really good weekend, and so I'm really not looking forward to work. Yeah, just kind of over it. You know, my kids are they're in their last, and my wife too, the last couple of weeks of school, and I'm like, dude, I I don't even remember what that's like to have all that, to have like a summer vacation. Yeah, let's get this on. Right. Actually, do need to kind of wash the iron plate a little bit. It's looking really flat right now. That's okay. Like I said, I'm gonna have to care about the game, I guess, before I really get more invested in painting it. I will say this though, their individual blister packs on the shelf for Warcaster, the packaging is some of the ugliest packaging for miniatures I've ever seen. I was gonna spend part of Friday at work playing guides. Wow, that's some dedication, sir. How long have you been playing Bushido? I know it's. I know that was probably something you picked up after Gilball was killed, but just out of curiosity. See, they always look better. They look better once you do the. You need to count cakes. I mean, right? It will look cool. Right? This team will look cool when you put it on the board. I just feel like I'm playing, you know, generic war game number 457. And I would love to be, and I'm hoping to be pleasantly surprised by this game. That would be quite cool. Oh, you forgot how to play. I did. I did get it, and thank you so much. And I'll show it off here on air because it is really cool. So Michael sent me something cool for my birthday. Michael, I picked up your dice. If you will just confirm address for me, I'll get those back to you. But let me finish painting this black, and I'll show you guys what Michael got me, which was super, super cool. Was not expecting anything, obviously, but very grateful nonetheless. Right? Bug Wizard. Man. But yeah, Bushido and Wrath of Kings right now is kind of. Your kids are almost. Yeah, they're almost. That's right. They are just about on their summer vacation. Which is super fun for them. Honestly, it's a little bit harder for me because sometimes I have to be ready to help out at home and that sort of thing, right? Because right now they go to school and then they go to daycare. Um, but my wife, she has vacation too, but she can't always. Right? We can't just attach them to her 100% of the time. All right, so let's check it out. No, my birthday is actually on Wednesday. So, but we have this thing where we just sort of in our house when it's someone's birthday, we just sort of celebrate the whole month. So in my home I get the whole month of May basically to just be like, "Hey, I'm going to game more often than usual. I'm going to buy some more miniatures that I normally wouldn't um, for myself and that sort of thing." So no, they're not doing summer camp or anything like that. They're gonna be here with my wife and their grandma and that sort of thing. Let me get these out of the way. The shield is really cool. All right, so Michael got me some cool stuff for my birthday, which was super cool. Um, One is this really cool postcard, but I don't want to show that because it might give away a little bit what the main event is. But I was talking about these games and gear brushes that he had sent me before, and it looks like I got more, right? And this is, those last ones were like super high detail brushes, and I'm not sure. Let's see what these are. Oh, nice. Oh, wow, look at that. So this is rubber tip. That's nice. This is the katana. That's actually quite nice. Oh, no. Michael just he managed to get me a gift here prior. I cannot. Urgh. This one's a little hard to open. Oh, guy's really on there. Once we get it open, though, it should be. Oh, there we go. Okay, so this is the dry brush, and you know how I really just like makeup brushes. The problem with makeup brushes, let me show you what I normally use. Right, so I normally use a makeup brush like this, and what you want from a dry brush is kind of like a makeup brush, right? You just want kind of dense but soft bristles. You want a lot of what you use the rubber tip for. Sometimes you use it for just sculpting something down, or sorry, or if you just need to, if you're just putting a transfer on, you just need to push something in place, you'd use a rubber tip for something like that. So it actually does have quite a few different uses. But so this is what, right? This is a nice dry brush. It's a nice little $2 makeup brush that you can get at your Big Lots or whatever. But what's nice about this one is this is actually miniature sized, right? Sometimes you just want to dry brush just a tiny little thing and you don't want to get all the area around it. So this is going to be, so I would use this like if I'm dry brushing weapons or very small parts of armor, right? Like if it's just small little bits of chainmail, something like that, or that would be nice for that size. And then this is a vehicle brush, so this is going to be a pretty big brush. Woo! Yeah. Oh, that one wasn't as bad. So this is okay. So this is a flat style brush, right? It's almost a filbert, almost. But that's nice too, right? This is good for vehicles because it's you want a flat style brush, and with this being synthetic, you're gonna have a nice springiness to the filament there. Okay. So these are good kind of specialty purpose brushes, right? But wait, there's more. There's another one of these things. And so you got, and then now you have just, these are now your workhorse synthetic brushes. So you got a number 2, and how big is this number 2? That's pretty nice, right? This is Golden Tacklon synthetic, right? You know what I think, Michael, I think what I'm going to use these for is I'm going to use these for oils, right? Lex has been bugging me to get back into painting with oils because that's kind of her thing, and she wants to see what I can do with oils, um, and you want to use synthetics with oils, which is weird because when you're painting a house, it's it's the opposite. You want to use natural bristle with oil-based house paint. Oh, you won these during Adepticon. Cool. Number 3. Okay. Okay. So that's a number 3. Here's my Winsor Newton number 3, and this one is really beat up. So you can see I haven't cleaned it. It's really jacked up. But you can see, forget the tip for a second. You can see that these number 3s have a really nice belly to them. What I mean by the belly is this part right here. Right? That's where you're drawing up your paint. You want your brush to have a really nice tip and a really nice belly to it. And this number 3 is fantastic. Right? That is a really nice brush. Right? Okay, so we got a 2, a 3, and a 1. Perfect. So these are your workhorse brushes. Also, I should point out these are way less, right? That's super nice, right? So this is a Games and Gear 1, and I have, where's my Winsor Newton? I just had it. Is this it? Yeah. So here's a Winsor Newton, number 1. So so the Games and Gear has a better belly to it, but it's not, the point is not as sharp. But they're not. I've been using a little bit more synthetic brushes recently. Like um, the brush that you get, the Army Painter brush that you get with the speed paints, is actually decent for putting speed paints on. So I've been using this quite a bit. So I'll get more miles out of these too. Right? There are going to be certain miniatures that I noticed that there are certain paint styles where I would rather have synthetic brushes where I want a little bit more spring into the painting. I know everybody and their mom swears by uh, Kolinsky Sable, which I do love. Kolinsky Sable. Kolinsky Sable's ability to handle liquid, water base is unparalleled. But like I said, I have plenty of oil-based paints, and you know, Lex has challenged me to do some more oil-based style painting, and I think that would be cool. So I mean, just you've bought a second carry-on. So here's, yeah, and then if you guys remember, this is the yellow set. So this is size 0 all the way down to quadruple 0, right? This is if you're really trying to do fine lining. I wouldn't paint eyeballs with these. Old brushes make versatile tools. They absolutely do. I totally agree, Happy Webster. I have lots of those on my desk that just make good mixing, right? If you're just mixing paints, sometimes if you're doing like even something like that, if you're just trying to mix up, you're just thinning paint, you want to mix it up. It's good for that. So, but that's not it. We're still looking at Michael's birthday gifts. Send me a postcard. Sorry for the glare. It's a little glossy, but as you can see, this artwork might remind you of something. And we're going to show you what that is. Because this is cool. Hopefully it fits here under the... I may have to move my minis for a sec. Do that. Let's move a couple of these guys. I haven't even opened this yet. But yeah, here, look. All right. We got the Geralt and Tengu miniature from The Witcher, right? So there's The Witcher. And now, I'll be honest with you, I know of The Witcher, but I never played the game. I don't really watch the show, but I am a fan. I'm like an outside fan of The Witcher. And then anything with Tengu basically has me in. You guys know that was a major reason why I wanted to start playing Bushido, is because there's a full Tengu faction. But yeah, let's open up this bad boy. I have not, you can see it's still sealed. I have not touched this. But this is exciting, right? Maybe this might be my oil-based project, right? I mean, it's got a Tengu. Oh, wow. So it comes fully assembled. It's a really nice scale. This is this 54 millimeter scale? Might be a little bigger. Yeah, this is fantastic. The detail on this is excellent. This is PVC plastic, one piece. That is a cool Tengu. This was a stretch goal from the this is so a piece like this, obviously you would want to take some time on, but this again, this would be like the super fun long-term project where you paint a little bit at a time, and you really try to get this as high quality as possible. Super fun. Super fun. Thank you so much, Michael. I don't know. I'm blown away by this. I don't. For me, I really appreciate gifts and all of that kind of stuff. I never expect them, but that's pretty awesome, right? I almost like what would be kind of cool, but I wouldn't do this with this. But what you could do with something like this is you could put this on your Bushido table, and they can be like, right? It commemorates the battle of the Tengu clan versus Prefecture of Ryu, right? You put on your board, and that would be cool. That is super cool. Super cool. So thank you so much for that. That's really nice. Really looking forward to uh, putting that together. Well, I don't have to put it together, but you know what I mean. Painting that up. That's going to be super fun. You could use, with the scale of that model, you could use a lot of different techniques. Pretty sick, right? Okay. Is this dry? So this varnish is pretty dry, so it shouldn't shred the model too much. Yeah, and I don't really. I mean, I have painted some smaller dioramas, but I've never really, I don't know, never really had much of a focus on it. So that it'll be fun. Anyways, let's. Ah, man. Wait, sorry, it's the wrong way. That goes on here. So that sword goes there. It's kind of weird how it. There we go. That sword goes there. The heavier shield is going to kind of droop a little bit, like that. And then you can put a sidearm on it. Let's put this one. Wait. Did I magnetize this wrong? I did, didn't I? Yeah, it should be that. It should be this way. Oops. I guess that's not an option for you. But here, have this plasma gun thing. There you go. Yeah, that's pretty cool. You can see as he walks around, the shield will wiggle a little bit. I could put a bigger magnet on here. I could. Again, if I cared. So we just put that out. I mean, these weren't the easiest to magnetize, mainly because the metal is so hard. Like drilling into that was not fun. Right? It took a reasonable, significant amount of time just to get to chop through that. None of the weapons drop. The shield droops a little bit, but it's a shield, so even with it at this position, it still looks cool. I did use a stronger magnet on this arm for the sword. But yeah, I mean the magnets I'm using on the weapons are pretty small. These are the size. These are these little guys. But I use a slightly bigger one for that sword arm. Right, it's just a little bit stronger. So it's cool. So um, so yeah, I guess let's just seal them up real quick and then. So I'm gonna knock a little bit of that sheen off. But yeah, I'm ready to play my first game of Warcaster. I don't know. At this point, if it's a game that I'm gonna play with people that are cool to game with, I'm good to go. Right? It doesn't have to be the best game in the world. Right? I'm even willing to play Age of Sigmar with Jake. That's just because I know any game I play with Jake, I'll enjoy. Right? Because he's my bro and all. Right? That's what it's come down to. Like any game I can play with any of my friends because it'll be fun. I just hope that I can paint stuff that I will enjoy painting because that's a big deal, right? Because that's the time that you don't get to spend with your friends preparing for a game. Well, in my case, I still do because you guys hop on the stream and you talk to me while I'm painting. But yeah, that's really what it's come down to, right? It's why it's like, and yeah, I still really prefer the Dead games. I just think they were better made games. Honestly, I do. I think they were just better games. Um, so while my preference is that, I'll play some Warcaster. Who knows? What maybe I really like Warcaster. I just aesthetically, like I said, everything's very safe. It just doesn't. Nothing grabs me in Warcaster. None of the factions, none of the models really get me. Want to start a painting channel when I went by a different name, but worry about anonymity. You are absolutely right, Happy Webster. But you could, I know this may be difficult for you, sir, but you could aspire to be like me and have almost no following other than local people. And that's ideal, right? Because you just, for the most, and I really appreciate you hopping on stream. But you see what I'm saying, right? If you manage to stay small enough, you'll never be big enough to be a target, right? That's all. That's what I mean, right? If you just stay just small enough, right? Some people when they do for streaming and stuff, they have loftier goals, right? They want to be able to start a Patreon, maybe make a little money off of their stream. They want to have 100,000 followers. They want to have they want to have exclusive deals on their channel, maybe get sponsored by a cool miniature company, maybe get noticed for doing stuff. And I don't knock anyone. In fact, a lot of my other streamer friends, those are their goals, right? My goals are very different. My goals are I have this channel and I paint stuff mainly to game with my friends. That's really the gist of what this stream is, and therefore, when people tell me, oh, put your face in your thumbnails or have a clickbaity title, you'll get more followers, you'll get more likes, right? Do Games Workshop, paint Space Marines, you'll get way more followers, bro. And I'm like, that's not my goal at all. Like, I don't want to do any of that. How about no? Right? That's kind of... So, there you go. It's the trade-off. I really do sincerely prefer having the super tiny channel. Right? Where I could just cover a bunch of games. I don't care if it's a dead game or not. I don't care about sponsors. I don't have to offend. I'm not like at risk of offending anyone, right? There's no community. Oh, we're gonna excommunicate Pepe because he once said this, and he doesn't believe the same stuff we do. He doesn't support the current thing, right? The I support the current thing that all the online influencers and whatever the shit you want to say, whatever those people are, they make you like, oh, you have to be this way, you have to support this. And I'm like, no, I got questions, man. I'm a skeptical person. I pretty much always like, okay, it sounds like I should support that, but I got some questions. And with all the new movements, all the new political social movements, the fact that they don't allow discussion means I won't support them. It's just, there you go. You have to be able to debate it. If your cause is worthy, it should stand up to debate. That's just my take. So if you don't allow debate in your viewpoint, then in my opinion you hold a weak viewpoint. Right? That's just, there you go. And so with all of these movements being like, oh, you can't question it, or you're a bigot of some sort. You're this, or you're an ist. We're going to cancel you. Well, then those must not be very robust opinions if you can't stand up to scrutiny, right? Who cares? Then I don't share your viewpoint, because I would want all of my viewpoints to be able to stand up to scrutiny. And if they can't stand up to scrutiny, then that's a good thing too, because then I can learn something as well. Somebody, heaven forbid, somebody with a different viewpoint than me can teach me something different, can help me kind of rethink what I believe and what I see. That's what I want. So, yeah, that's my reasoning for why my channel's awesome. Because I don't care. It's fine. I feel bad because I was doing a stream a few months ago where a friend of mine, another streamer friend of mine, hops into my feed. And he's like, "Hey, dude, be careful. They're out there. There are people hacking your your Twitch account or your YouTube account or whatever, right? They're gonna steal your account. They're gonna take all your followers." And I'd be like, "Look, dude, if anybody like went through all of that trouble to hack my account so that they could take 4 followers away from me, then have at it. You've earned it." Okay? That's a lot of work to get Matt and Chris to be like, "Hey, that's not okay." That's a lot of work if you're going to hack me that hard, right? I'm not a big enough target. So I don't care. I don't know. And I'm sorry. I felt bad because I did come off as kind of flippant when he was like, "Hey, dude, watch out. People are going to be hacking your like, good for them." Right? If they went through the effort of hacking my channel, then they've done more work than I have on my channel. They deserve the 4 followers. So there. I don't know. There you go. There's my uh came for the minis, got good advice for life. Uh-oh. Who's trying to bug you? The cat? Okay, leave him in here. Close the door. He can stay with me. Oh, my kid. I don't understand why. Okay, you guys know my cat. My cat will scream and cry the minute I hit stream, right? And because if he's in the room and I'm streaming, he'll want to leave. If he's not in the room when I'm streaming, he'll walk up to the door and cry until I let him in. But what's even funnier is my son, my 2 boys, my 8-year-old, and here we go. Now someone who really hates my viewpoints is gonna try to find out who I am. It's not hard to find out who I am. But anyway, my 8-year-old loves sleeping with the cat. So when the cat snuggles up to him, he's really happy. They go to sleep. Everything's fine. My 5-year-old likes the cat, but treats the cat as if he's another, like literally treats him as if he's a human family member, right? So my 5-year-old will tattle on the cat. If the cat's running around in the house, you know how your cat kind of goes cracky cat, just run around the house. My 5-year-old will go, Dad, Ramses is running in the house. And he doesn't want Ramses sleeping in his bed. He's like, Ramses, you should have your own bed. This is my bed. So there you go. Equality. Okay? Equality in the household. Everybody, I don't know. Just kind of going all over the place. But yeah, very cool gift. Thank you, Michael. Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? Like I said, they're cool. You put them on the board. People are like, oh yeah, Warcaster, that's cool. I've never seen. Like, I know the couple times that Bing and Chris brought out Warcaster, that people are like, whoa, is that Warcaster? I don't know. Like, how is that? And that kind of thing. So I'll find out. I'll find out if I like Warcaster. I don't know. To me, it'll probably just be another game I can play with my friends. I doubt it'll be like, oh man, Warcaster's my life now. Me and Katie narrowing down a place for the wedding, got 2 places. Oh, nice. I know in your area, Michael, it can be hard to find. My cousin, she got married up in that area, and it was difficult for her to find a place. It took her and her husband like 6 months to find a place. When my wife and I were getting married, that was mainly my wife's job, or her. She took on the responsibility of trying to find the location where we would get married, and we must have. She took me to probably a half dozen locations before we found one that we really liked. We were gonna do, just for like a bit of advice. We were gonna do like a fancy hotel and that kind of thing for reception and that sort of thing. But when it came down to it, if you can find, we ended up doing an outdoor wedding, which was super nice. It was out. It was off. It was, I think it's called Compass Park, off near Dana Point, which is, it's a public place. It's this beautiful like public park overlooking the ocean, but you don't, you can just reserve the place. I think there was like a nominal fee to do it, but we put it down and we set up our own outdoor wedding. And then, for our reception, we had our reception at a really nice restaurant that was it was like basically walking distance from there. So that worked out better because we looked at hotels and we looked at like really fancy venues where it's like, no, you got to put 7,000 down or 12,000 down. And like, dude, it's one day. You know what I mean? I'd rather, if you're gonna get married someplace memorable, right? Right? It might be executed well, but it may not be memorable. Generic sci-fi mini number 4023 or whatever. But you understand what I'm saying? Someplace memorable, and we'll always remember that that cool wedding venue because it was like, oh yeah, we just got married outside. It was a beautiful day. Blah 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 blah. Right? Warcaster is a fun game, but it's a secondary game to me. It's nice, but a lot of other games really compete. Yeah, that's the thing. And I think Thomas, because I asked Thomas about it too. I don't know. It sounded like he played a little bit, but his thing to me was like, try it first, because I was like, should I buy other stuff? He said, try it first, and then see if you wanted to add to your faction or maybe swap factions or whatever. So that's cool. What else was I gonna do? But yeah, there's your bit of wedding advice. Like, right? I would say it's more for the wedding, for your ceremony. Memorable is more important than fancy. Okay, and then for your wedding too. I don't. Why am I giving out advice? Anyway, for your wedding, it's more important to have a fun wedding than to have a perfect wedding. Okay? And that's something. Okay, when my wife and I got married, a lot of like other couples we knew were getting married around the same time, right? Around the same 2 year period. All of our other like couple friends and stuff were getting married. And some of our couple friends were going for the perfect wedding, right? So they were just throwing buckets of money, just buckets of money, like at the venue, at the, her dress has to be perfect, and the reception has to be perfect, and the DJ has to be perfect, and the arrangements have to be perfect, and all this stuff. And at first, we started to plan like that, like this was, oh, it's got to be the perfect wedding. But when we both agreed, when my wife and I both agreed, we want this to be a fun party for us and our friends. Let's have a fun wedding, right? If that means that the flowers aren't perfect, if it means that the dessert isn't perfect, it doesn't matter. What's actually going to be important for a fun wedding, right? Is, okay, we want to have dancing at our wedding. We want to have, specific friends around us for our wedding. We want to have um, we don't want the ceremony to last too long. We want it to be more time to be with our family and with our friends. Okay, so I know I'm throwing out unsolicited advice on my painting stream, but that is my number one bit of advice for people, for anyone planning a wedding, is do not plan for a perfect wedding. Plan for a fun and memorable wedding. Um, and mistakes and misfortune on your wedding day is actually becomes the funniest, most memorable stuff about your wedding. Okay, so so for my wedding, well, for my wedding, I show up. Like I said, we're getting married outside. We're at a park, and I show up to the park on my wedding day, and I'm not in my tux or anything like that. I'm just in my street clothes. I haven't gotten ready. It's earlier part of the day, and I show up to the park to make sure that the staff who were in charge of putting out all the chairs and all that stuff, and setting up, that they were doing their job. And I get out there, and there's only one person there. It's the lady who was in charge of arranging all the flowers was there, right? So she's setting up the flowers, but there's no chairs out. There's no furniture set up where we're supposed to get married, right? And if my wife saw this, she would melt down. She would have freaked out. And she admitted this to me afterwards, after I told her the story. Like, she's like, yeah, if I saw that, I would have flipped out. I would have been crying. It would have ruined the whole day, right? So anyways, what I ended up doing was I I get down there, I see that they're not even there. So I just start grabbing the chairs, and one of my friends is with me. And it's funny because he's my friend, but he's not like a very close friend of mine. He's actually there recording the wedding, and he recorded the day before, the night before, everything, and he's just kind of following me around documentary style, right? So with a camera. So I'm starting to set up chairs, and he's like filming me setting up chairs, and he starts to feel guilty after a while. So he puts the camera down, and he's setting up chairs too. And the lady setting up flowers does not know that I'm the groom, and she just gives me shit about not having the chairs set up. And she was like, "Well, gee, where were you?" Right? Like, she's just like giving me attitude while I'm setting up chairs for my own wedding, right? So, at the time, I kind of look at her like, "Wait, what?" But then I realize that she has no idea who I am. So, so me and my buddy, we just continue to set up chairs, and we ended up setting up all the chairs. And like towards the end of it, the guys that were supposed to do it show up, and I didn't even give them shit. In fact, I didn't even tell my wife about this until after the wedding was totally done. What had happened, right? So I set up all this stuff, and I'm like sweating, and my buddy's name is Ian. Ian's like, dude, like, don't get all like dirty and sweaty, dude. You gotta like get dressed. Like, this ceremony is going to start in 3 hours or whatever. I'm like, yeah, no, I'll be able to take a quick shower. It's all good. So, um, I get it set up. And like I said, the wedding happens. Also, my dad did not get, he could not find the location of the wedding. And this was despite the fact that I bought him a GPS. This is, now, granted, this is before, smartphones really had that much functionality to, like, you couldn't just pull up Waze on your phone. But anyway, so I bought him a GPS the Christmas prior, knowing you will need this when I get married, right? So he got there after, basically right as the ceremony ended, which was kind of sad. But it was all it was all good, right? Nonetheless, right? There's stuff that's gonna. My point is, there's stuff that's gonna happen on your wedding day that you did not plan for, and if you have the wrong attitude, it will ruin your day, and it will ruin your bride's day. Okay, you can't be like that on your wedding day. You need to be like you need to think about your wedding day like, this is gonna be the dopest party I'm gonna throw. Me and my wife are gonna throw. All my friends are gonna be there. It's gonna be awesome, right? And you just, when you get a curveball like that, you'd be like, you know what? We're still gonna have fun. We're just gonna do it, right? So, anyways, I paid for this wedding. I know, right? Anyway, yeah, that's my advice is, you're planning a wedding. It's gonna be great. It's not gonna be perfect. It's not gonna be exactly everything that you thought. There are gonna be curveballs thrown at you throughout the day. I didn't even really get to eat during my wedding until like much later in the evening, where it was so nice. My wife's she had a like partial malfunction with her dress, and her uh, and our maid of honor, like, she was so great. Our maid of honor, her mom went and fixed Elizabeth's dress, and she made sure I ate, because she was watching us, and we had to greet all of our guests and all that kind of stuff, and I just never had a chance to like sit down and eat. And she got me at some point in the evening, and she's like, I noticed you didn't get to do anything. So she like sat me down, and she's like, you're going to sit here and eat for a minute, and I'm going to make sure no one comes up and bugs you while you're doing that. So, it was just such a cool thing, because you get to see, like, your friends really get to be your friends that day. They really get to like they look out for you, and you realize like how important you are to people that you never really thought you were important to, right? And that's what's so cool about like weddings and stuff like that. And I know, like, these days nobody wants to get married, and there's a lot of valid reasons for why people want to remain single for longer in their lives and all that stuff. All of that aside, and despite the stigma around weddings, it's like super cool. You get to find out, like, there's so many cool things that can happen during a wedding, and so just let that stuff happen, because that's going to be the stuff that you remember. Okay, you're not going to remember, like, yeah, we spent a fair bit of money getting our reception and that kind of thing, and yeah, the DJ screwed up my name. We were called the Villers. But I will say this, I will share another wedding story. When we hired our DJ, he was this young kid. He was like 22 or something, like 21, 22, right? He's a DJ, and you're like looking at this DJ, and you're like, yeah, I don't think you got into the DJ thing so you could do weddings or whatever. Um, but I had one request for this guy, right? I had one request. And when we hired our DJ, I said, look, dude, I think his name was Garrett or something. Elizabeth will tell me. She'll remember who his name was. I was like, look, dude, I only got one request. Do not play Love Shack at my wedding. All right? Do not play Love Shack. Why? Because they play Love Shack at every freaking wedding ever, right? And I know people lose their minds. The people that don't dance and never been dancing ever in their life, they know Love Shack, right? Oh, I love the Shimmy Shack song. It's the best. And they go out and I just did not want that. for my wedding. Just please, guy, whatever you play, don't play Love Shack. So he announces our name incorrectly. We're called the Villers. And I was like, what? The who? And the whole crowd like shouted at the DJ, wrong, which was hilarious. But then he proceeds to play Love Shack immediately, right? So that's like the first song he puts on is Love Shack. And me and my wife look at each other, and our close friends knew that that was my one request, was no Love Shack. Please do not play Love Shack at my wedding, right? Very simple request. Anyways, my other buddies were like, hey man, you want us to just take this fool out? We'll just take him out, right? They were just going to take him out, just escort him outside and just get rid of this guy, this poor kid. And I'm like, nah, it's fine. This kid, whatever. And this kid ended up having shit taste in music. We'll just call it that. It just wasn't. Rome is good. Personally, my favorite B-52 song, Rock Lobster. I love Rock Lobster because they do the dolphin sounds. Anyway, no Love Shack at my wedding. That was my only request. So, anyways, this kid can't play music to save his life. There's nothing good to dance to. Whatever. My wife and I, these are my earlier days, but like in our earlier days, we used to like to go out dancing. That was one of our things that we did all the time. So we had music on us all the time, right? And I had a bunch of like the music that we liked on our iPod. So we just gave this kid our iPod. Like, here, just play this. So we did that. We ended up doing that. But yeah, so because it worked out because our first dance song and all that stuff was on there. So we just gave this poor kid our iPod. Like, look, you have crap taste in music. Here you go. So I don't know. I don't know why we're talking. Well, I know why, because Michael's planning his wedding. But there you go. That's everything I know about weddings. If you want, from my own wedding, that's it. Just make sure you have fun. Make sure you eat. They're very important. Don't make sure you eat at some part because you will collapse. It's like there's so many people you have to talk to. There's so many things as one of your groomsmen, I will be watching you to make sure that you and Katie, that you guys get enough breathing room, because that's how weddings are. Like, the bride and groom, yeah, it's your special day, right? But and you have to give a little bit of face. It's like being a CEO, right? You have to give a little bit of face time to everybody who shows up to your wedding, but at the same time, it is still your wedding, right? You still do need to eat and dance and enjoy. Like, a lot of your time and money went into the special day. So, anyways, there you go. Tapped out. That's all I know about weddings. But all I know is, and I've been to, like I said, I've been to like some really, really extravagant, decadent weddings, like really crazy. People spend, even 6 figures on a wedding day. I've been to a wedding like that, and the bride and groom, they weren't even that. That's the worst part of it. They weren't even happy with that day. It's like they spent so much money on their wedding because, like I said, they wanted a perfect wedding. They didn't go about it like we're looking for a fun wedding. But everybody that went to my wedding was like, dude, your wedding was super fun, right? Because some of our couple friends got married after. And they were like, dude, your wedding was so fun. Why was your wedding fun and ours? And I told them, like, yeah, because that was the goal. The goal was a fun wedding, not a perfect wedding. So, anyway, yeah. So I don't know. This guy's mask is pretty cool. I will admit that. He reminds me of right. He's got a bug face. Pretty awesome. Oh, next event. Well, obviously you can't make it this weekend. This weekend is Malifaux, and I don't know. I think there's going to be a very small turnout for the Malifaux tournament. But I think that's fine, because if it's just my friends and it's just local, well, we'll probably bust out Wrath of Kings at some point and just play that. Also, the Wrath of Kings tournament date is up in the air. Kelly wanted that date back, so I asked her, please get me a new date so I can tell people immediately when that's going to happen. But the other thing too, Michael, is I asked Don to look into whether or not he could bring Bushido into his store, and if he does, then I'll just start throwing Bushido tournaments. Basically, the idea is this, though, Michael. Even if I don't have anything planned, let me know if you are planning on coming out for a weekend, or if you have time, and we'll make sure that something's happening if you want to come down. Yeah, LVO was so good, and Bing joined us too, and Katie was there. It was super nice. I didn't really get to, like, that was the first time I really got to hang out with Katie, so it was cool to kind of hear about her and what she does, and just see the two of you together. So it was cool. Like a bug larping. Yeah, right. That is true. He's like the priest, the Super Sentai priest. But yeah, for LVO, it's kind of sad because LVO is kind of up in the air for most of us next year. Batman, they may move to a 2-day tournament, which is an immediate turnoff for me, because I don't want to play in two-day tournaments. Honestly, not unless it was Guild Ball. Guild Ball is the only game that I could actually see myself going, you know what? I would play in that. I would throw down and train for, me and Kevin and Reagan we were all training for Chicago, right? That was our deal. Me, Kevin, and Reagan we were gonna be like, here's our team. Here's what we were planning our matchups, right? We were getting in, like, I was like fielding Alchemist players that I never field because I needed to know the whole roster backwards and front. But yeah, Guild Ball, I would do that for 2 days. I would play in a 2-day Guild Ball. Which, I should bring this up too, because Michael, we played some Guild Ball. Me and Thomas played some Guild Ball this week, and we want to throw a Guild Ball tournament. So that is going to happen sometime in the fall. We're just gonna throw it. We're just gonna say, because we just need it to happen. So sometime in the fall. Hopefully, I'm thinking maybe mid to late August, or maybe even September, that we just have our actual annual Guild Ball Throwdown, and we break it out. We get the people back to play. You missed the Guild Ball stream. Yeah, I miss streaming gaming on this channel in general. It was nice when I'm looking at my gaming table right now, and it is a catastrophe. There's so much crap on it. But if you guys might remember the days when we used to just set up here and we would just stream games here. Did you kickstart the Lamplighters? I did. And I got the STL files, and I sent the STL files to Bing, and he was going to print them out, but I know he's busy. I seem to remember backing it for physical models, but I may have just been mistaken. But yes, I did back the Lamplighters, and I would like to get. I think Bing he's offered to print up a set for me, so we could print them out and play, because that would be fun. So yeah. Anyway, it is getting about late, and I stopped painting a while ago. So I apologize for that, but we're going to call the stream here. But yeah, so Guild Ball tournament, we're looking for the fall. We got Wrath of Kings. It's going to happen in July. We're going to try to make sure that happens sometime in July. And then, yeah, the rest of the time, we're just going to be gaming. I may come back with a report, my impressions on Warcaster when I get to try that out. And Bushido, that's going to be a thing for sure. We've got many of us have Bushido on the way, and I can't wait to start painting and trying that out. So, anyways, with that, we're going to call our stream to a close. Thanks everyone for watching. It was really fun just to talk about wedding stuff because I don't know, that's just fun to talk about sometimes. But yeah, we're going to call the stream to a close. Once again, thanks everyone for watching. I'll post some pics of these as they get finished up and give you some impressions of my first game of Warcaster when that happens. So with that, we're going to call it to a close. Thanks everyone for watching and have a good night.